Welcome back to the Save the Good Girl podcast. I am your host, Erica E., and we have made it to part 4 of the grief series. The hardest episode for me to record. My goodness, we are going to talk about that. And I do want to point out, though, it is the final part of the grief series. However, grief is something that I'm going to live with for the rest of my life, meaning this won't be the final conversation in regards to grief. It's just that for this particular series that I'm doing and how I wanted to start with this podcast, as I've stated before, I just felt like that was the most authentic thing for me to do because this is what kept me away. And I'm definitely going to talk about this some more because I'm learning so much. I'm learning so much while going through this. And even this episode that I am going to discuss with you guys, there's certain things that I've learned prior to me recording. Like I've changed this episode about 8 times. About 8 times. So we are going to get into that and really get into how broken crayons still color. If you break a crayon in half, it's not that it's disposable and it's like, okay, whatever, you can't use it anymore, just throw it away. You can still utilize that crayon and it colors just as beautifully. And just because you feel broken, just because you're going through a space where you're just uncertain and this is a different world. You know, grieving is a different world, it's unfamiliar and it feels final. You know, it feels like there's no way out. And in this episode, we're going to discuss where I am during this process post grief, like how am I doing right now? And also, how do we magnify those colors? How do we bring them out? What can we do? How do we live with this, right? Like, how do you live with grief? And I don't have all the answers. I really don't. I'm still learning as I go and grow. But I wanted to share that with you in hopes to really amplify hope. So we have a lot to discuss. And I have to tell you guys, like this episode, wow, it was hard. Let's get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, I almost did not make it to this episode. I almost did not make it, but I'm here and I'm grateful and you're here as well. And I'm proud of you because you listening to this is a part of your healing. And I'm happy that you're choosing to spend that with me. So thank you so much. Grieving has so many moving parts. And the reason why it was so hard for me to get to this episode was because I was still adapting and learning things literally as of last week when I recorded the other episode. I was learning so much in between that time and I'm trying to catch up and understand what's going on. And I'm sad and I'm emotional and I take this podcast very seriously. I take my Instagram very seriously. Whatever I put out in the world, I'm extremely intentional because the energy has to be right. So if I'm not energetically, if I'm not there, emotionally, if I'm not there, spiritually, if I'm not there, I'm not recording. I'm not because I don't know who's listening to this. I don't know if someone major is going to listen to this and want to give me a beautiful deal. And you never know, you know, I got to speak it out. Right. But ultimately, like I said before, I don't care if it's one person. You're going to get luxury. You're going to get quality. And I am going to make sure that I'm in a good space emotionally. Not saying I have to be perfect, but enough for me to disseminate the information the right way, right? So I decided to take my time to record and really process, and I actually added some notes. I usually record my episode, I have show notes, I'm organized, and I've found that it's been difficult for me to record. I was avoiding recording actually. I was like, oh, I need to record today. I'm not good. I have to do this. I have to do that. And I had to catch myself like, whoa, 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 whoa. What's the problem? What is going on? So I've realized that with grieving, I am learning so much as I go. And in your process, you're going to learn the same. Whether you lost, it's a relationship, or you lost a loved one, or you lost a pet, or a job, or anything that you have been accustomed to for so long and that is no longer, that's going to cause you to grieve. You're going to feel it. It's going to hurt. It's not going to feel nice. And now you have to adapt to the loss. You have to adapt to this emptiness. And that's where I'm at right now. You know, it's very, very challenging. So a couple of weeks ago, I was watching the show, the Karamo show on YouTube. And there was a couple there, and I'm gonna try to give names because I feel like when I tell a story, let me try to give names. Okay, so let's say one guy, his name is Michael, and let's say the other guy, his name is Todd, and let's say the girl's name is Amber. Nah, I'm not talking about threesome. Get out the gutter. Okay. Um, Michael and Todd are married, okay? And Amber is Michael's cousin. So the purpose for them being on the show is that Michael felt like Todd and Amber, they hang out too much, and he feels like Amber was trying to get back at him because he did something in the past to her. So now he felt like you're trying to take my husband so that my husband could cheat on me, right? That was the basis of the show. So, as they started talking, what was revealed was that Michael has a drinking problem, and that's why Todd and Amber always hangs out because Todd was saying, "When you get drunk, I just don't like to be around you. So I find comfort in your cousin, and we don't go just to bars. We go out to eat, we do this, we do that." So then it was revealed that Michael has a drinking problem. Of course, Michael was denying it, and then the host was like, "Well, is it true that you asked for, I think, gin and something, whatever, in the morning?" And he said, "Yes, to calm my nerves. I'm going to go on the show. I'm nervous." So then he said, "Well, do you drink at night every night?" He goes, "Yeah, but I have to calm my nerves." Like everything was like, calm my nerves, calm my nerves. So then Michael started crying and said that he's been through so much. And the host said, "Have you told Todd?" And he said, "No." So Todd has no idea what Michael's going through. And Michael said, "This is why I drink. I drink because I've been through a lot. I drink because I find comfort in this bottle. I drink because X, Y, and Z." And then it kind of is revealed that Todd and Amber hanging out is not the problem. Todd is using Amber as an escape because Michael's just not a safe place, right? So once that was revealed, Michael started crying because he realized that he does have a problem, and he just said, you know what? I'm just damaged goods. Like, no one's going to help me. No one's going to love me. No one's going to be there for me. Like, I don't know what to do. And I just feel horrible. And I'm just this and I'm just that." And then Karamo, the host, said, "I want you to know that broken crayons still color." And when he said that, I was like, wow. Now, I know that this is a saying that probably has been said before. I've never heard it until this episode. And that's why I titled this episode Broken Crayon Still Color, because I felt like Michael's emotions, I understood it. And not from the alcoholic perspective, but more so from a feeling like there's no hope, feeling like, what am I going to do without my dad? Right? Who am I going to talk to? What am I going to do? Right? So I felt very hopeless. I understood his emotions. I understood it, and I felt it. And I felt the tears and I felt it. And I'm like, but it is true. Broken crayons do still color. And I thought about the analogy of a crayon, right? When you break a crayon, like I can give you the other half of a yellow crayon. You and I can still both color the sun just as beautifully. So I really gravitated towards that, and I was like, wow, I really want to title my episode this, because I'm so intentional, guys, with even the title, the description, like everything that I do. I'm just so intentional with that, and that's why I decided to call it that. And it was nice though. It ended with some understanding and compassion and grace. And I'm saying that because when you're grieving, that's what you need. You need understanding, you need compassion, and you need grace. You need those things. And one of the things that I was going through was I've been asked to do so many great projects. One of them is I actually recorded my first interview, a YouTube interview. I will link that in the description. And in this interview, it's a full interview about grief. So I will send it to you guys as well. I was asked to be Stephanie's first interview, and I was really excited about that. Conversations with Steph. So you guys can check her out as well and check out that interview where it's featuring me, yours truly. So I was asked to do that. I was also asked to do to recite a poem for my priest. He was celebrating over 30 years of ministry. He really helped change the church around. The church, unfortunately, was burned down a few years ago, and he did so much work to get it back together, rebuilding it. I'm still preaching, even though we did not have any church, but still preaching, still doing everything to bring just the positive energy back into the community. So, one of the administrative ladies asked me to write a poem because my mother, being Joe Jackson, she thinks I'm Janet, was like, yeah, she could do it. And I'm like, Ma, seriously? So I said yes, and I wrote the poem. And I wrote the poem pretty quick, which was interesting because I haven't written a poem in 14 years. That's a whole nother podcast episode because we're going to talk about that. But I'm not going to talk about it right now. But I wrote it pretty quickly. I guess, when you have a talent, you have a talent. So I wrote it really quickly, and I went to go to recite the poem, and there's over like 200 people there. I would say like maybe 250, right? I recite the poem, and everybody's clapping, and I'm smiling, but my dad is not in the audience, you know? And I was happy in that moment, but I was really, really sad. And I just feel like lately I am learning that it's kind of difficult for me to hold on to any heightened emotion. So when I'm really happy, when I feel strong joy, I feel sad because I would share that with my dad. So, when you're grieving, when you share a particular emotion with someone, or that's your go-to, that's your safe space, it's very difficult because when I was happy, I share that with him. When I'm sad, I share that with him. When I'm indifferent, I share that with him. When I want to be annoying, because I would share that with him. And now I don't have that. So I'm grateful, right, that I'm out here now. I'm grateful for that. Another thing that I've learned about grief is that when you are grieving, you have to be the one to communicate and let people know that you are ready to receive presence and in person activity. You have to be the one. I know for me, when this hit me, I completely got off of Instagram. I was not on social media. I was not communicating with my friends or family. I was triggered by the word congratulations. I did not want to hear about your success. I didn't want to hear about your new man, your new job, your new car, your new dog, your new anything. I didn't want to hear it. And then I also didn't want to tell you how I was doing because I wasn't doing great at all. So the best thing for me to do at that time was to isolate, which led into a deeper depression. But I was in a space where I didn't know what to say or do. Congratulations was a trigger word for me because congratulations is celebratory, it's happy, and I wasn't happy. TD Jake said, it's sunny on your side, but it's raining on my side. And I felt like it was raining every single day. You know what I mean? So it was hard for me. It was hard. But one of the things that I've learned is that I eventually had to say hi. I eventually had to say, you know what? Let's do dinner. I eventually had to say, I'm okay. I just had to respond. And one of the things I'm learning about grief is when you're ready, you do have to respond because being around people, like I stated in the last episode, is what really helped me with my healing. It really projected my healing to a different level. I would not be able to be where I'm at right now by myself. So then I couldn't listen to my friends. I couldn't talk. I couldn't have a conversation. I couldn't pray. I could not pray. People would say, people say, "Oh, I'll keep you in my prayers." I remember I got very angry one time because I'm like, "No, are you really gonna pray for me though? Like, don't say that shit if you're not gonna do it. Do not." Right? Because in that moment, I really was not praying for myself. So if you talking to God, please talk to Him on my behalf. Because right now, me and Him, I'm a little upset right now. So I'm going through all these emotions. I'm not on social media. Nobody knows what's going on. And if it wasn't for my therapist and my grief counselor who said to me, go to your cousin's wedding, reach back to your friend and do dinner. Don't worry about what you're wearing. Just go. Go get a coffee with your friend. Go to the mall with your friend. I had to hear that all the time, like a broken record, in order for me to actually do it. But what I've learned was that you need to announce your return without announcing it. Like, not like, hi, I'm back again. Not like that. But you need to let people know that it's okay for them to reach out to you. You need to slowly say yes and do it within your boundaries. Do it within your boundaries. Going out at night was also triggering for me because my father would always check in on me when I would go out at night. And I wasn't ready to be in that space yet. So for me, it was coffee dates, and it was like lunch and early dinners. I did not like to be out too late. So I did things within my boundaries as well. And it's it helped me out because if I didn't do that, I would stay in my depression. Losing anything and going through a loss is debilitating. It's gut wrenching. It's on the floor crying. It's hard. And you need to make that announcement. You have to do that. And what I'm learning now is the whole emotion, not being able to hold on to that emotion without thinking about how I shared that emotion with my loved one. But one thing I will say that I'm grateful for is that I am still able to acknowledge and be aware that joy is present in my life. I am able to acknowledge and be aware that I have people in my life who genuinely care for me. I am able to acknowledge and be aware that I'm still alive, so there has to be purpose for me. You know what I mean? So it's a very tricky journey, and it's complicated in a way where it's like, wow, I'm still very very sad, but I'm happy that I'm drinking coffee with my friend, or I'm happy that I can just be mindless. You know, one of the things that I really love doing still to this day when I'm sad, is going to TJ Maxx and smelling fragrances, body butters. I literally had a date with my friend recently. We visited a new coffee shop, and the coffee was great, and I just love cafes. So I enjoyed the coffee, and I sat in a cafe. We were there for about 2 hours, and then I after that we went to Saks Fifth Avenue, and I just smelled different perfumes, and oh, I like this one. Because for some reason when I smell perfume, I'm not thinking about anything but the perfume. I'm able to be a bit more mindful in that space. So it just felt really 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 nice. It really really did. But it's a process, and when you feel broken, and sometimes you feel like there is no color. There is no color here because those emotions take over. But being broken doesn't mean that there's no repair. And I didn't realize that. It took me a while to figure that out. Feeling like I was a broken crayon that couldn't color was the reason why it took so long for me to come back to the podcast. I felt like it was very hard for me to be emotionally present. So, how could I tackle on a project like this where it's really emotion based and I want to help people, where I really felt like I could not help myself? I really felt like my ambition was fighting with depression because naturally I'm a very ambitious person. I want to get things done. I want to do things the right way. I want to always challenge myself, right? I want to do all these things. And I just felt like I was losing track of myself. I was losing track of my health. I was losing track of my finances. I couldn't make any decisions. Like, I just felt fake. I was going through just feeling like Dr. Jekyll and Hyde, like just very just in and out. Like, I'm at work and I'm like, hi, and then I'm home and I'm so depressed, you know? So as much as I wanted to come back to the podcast and everyone's like, oh, you should do it again. I'm like, how can I do this? Like, I'm not in a space to do it. I really felt like a broken person that could not add any value. I felt like my sadness and my anger and my confusion and my loss of words made me feel like, what can I offer you? What can I offer you? What can I do? What can I say? I actually don't want to do anything. I actually want to go lay down in my bed and cry until the next day. I actually don't want to put a bra on. I actually don't want to get dressed. I actually don't want to do anything. But then I have to try and then come back and record. I'm not doing that. That was my thought process then. And with grieving, in addition to those feelings, with grieving, you're grieving and holding on so many titles at the same time. So you're holding grief and you're holding roles. The role of a friend, right? I'm grieving and I'm still a friend. You're grieving and you're still a mother. You're grieving and you're still a father. You're grieving and you're still a cousin. You're grieving and you're still a coworker. You're grieving and you're still an auntie. You're grieving and you're still an uncle. You're grieving and you're still. So you have all of these roles that you have. You're still a cousin. You're still a sister, right? You're still a brother. And going through all of that, feeling, and it's not like I felt pressure in any way, right? But I think when naturally you are a person that's full of life and you are a person that people usually talk to and go to, that's very challenging to be in that space of grieving and still going through the motion. It's very hard. And also, the biggest part, grieving and feeling insecure, grieving and feeling less than, grieving and just feeling like, what am I doing? Who am I? I think a lot of times with loss, a big question is, who am I now without blank? What can I do without blank? By the way, guys, if you hear planes in the background, I apologize. I live near an airport. So if you hear planes, my bad. But who am I? Who am I without this person? And recreating what that looks like for you and how to be. And you're sad, but you also want to make this person proud, make yourself proud, and knowing that you're you. You are uniquely you, and you have all the tools you need to get better. It's a simple choice of deciding to utilize those tools to get better when you're ready. Now, it's not simple. Let me just make that clear. It's not like, oh yeah, you could just do it and it's fine. No. But the simple choice of, I want to get better, so I want to try my best to utilize what I have in order to help me. But when you're broken in that space, you are not thinking about that. You are not thinking about, yeah, I want to get better. You are losing track. My finances was horrific during my deepest depression. My skin looked horrible. Looked horrible. And by the way, guys, I started a lifestyle page called Exquisitely Erica. I was sitting on content forever because I was like scared of putting it out there. But just so you guys know, the reason why I decided to do this page, it's on Instagram. I think I'm going to do an Instagram, a Facebook, and a Pinterest. It's on Instagram. And the reason why I'm doing this is because there's a strong why behind it. In my deepest depression, I literally was like not washing my face. I was not taking care of myself. I just didn't care how I looked. I was just letting myself go. I just was like, listen, I'm up, be happy. That's it. That's all I got. When I wanted to get better, I was watching a lot of lifestyle videos about skincare routine and body butters and body oils and perfumes and how to be feminine and how to be pretty and how to, people making their beds and people organizing their cabinets and organizing their rooms. And I was watching that because I wanted to get back to that. And it was interesting because I felt like with being in the grief so heavy, it's like I forgot how to do those things. And watching those videos helped me tremendously. So now, because of that, that's my why. And that's why I'm doing it. It's called Exquisitely Erica. And that's my lifestyle page. So it's going to be separate from Save the Good Girl. This has more videos of like when I go to different places. I'm based out of New York, but I don't care where you are. You can still look at my page and look at the stuff that I'm doing, and maybe there's some inspiration for you too. But different places, perfume, like organizing, all the things that helped me is essentially what I'm doing. But this is what I had to do in order for me to like get back to Erica, because naturally I am a girly girl. I love perfume. I love body butters. I love these things. But when I was in that deep place, whew, I completely was not here for it at all. At all. I was going through a lot of grief attacks. And a grief attack is when you are not even thinking about the person you've lost or what you have lost, right? You're not even thinking about it. And out of nowhere, it just hits you and emotionally it it just grabs you. I remember that driving. I was driving down the road and I was passing through a large body of water, a area that I always drive, by the way. And I'm just driving, listening to the song. And it wasn't a sad song. It wasn't a sad song. It was like a regular song. Driving. And out of nowhere, I thought about my dad. Very heavy. I had to pull over because my eyes was swelling up with tears. And if you've ever cried while driving, you know that's not the safest thing to do. You cannot see. So I had to pull over and I'm crying and I'm crying and I'm going through it. Okay. And I'm like, where did this come from? Like I was actually okay today. I was good. I was productive. I was confused. And no lie, I pulled over the side of the road for almost half an hour. That's how long it took me before I got back so that I can drive to get back home. And the grief attacks, it happens. And it will happen. It will happen because it's just your thoughts. It just comes out of nowhere. And sometimes you do have triggers, whether you hear a song or a TV show or a picture comes up on your phone. You know, I have an iPhone, so sometimes the iPhone will pop up with those pictures, and I would see pictures, and I'm just like, wow, wow. So it hurts. It really hurts, and I allowed myself to be though, and what I wanted to share with you is that you need to allow yourself to be in those moments. Like, I don't have a special step one, step two, step three. It's more so like when you're going through those moments, allow yourself to be down, but also allow yourself to know when it's time to get back up. Know when it's time to reach out. Know when it's time to talk. Know when it's time to speak up. Because you are sad in that moment. You're not going to be in this place forever. You will overcome. And I have to tell myself this almost every single day. Because what I'm also struggling with is this idea that, are you ever gonna, like I'm doubting now. Are you ever going to be fully, are you ever going to? And it's like, I am. Like, I have to like talk to myself, like, I am. So being in a space where you can and you will move past where you are, it will require some work. It will require some patience. It will require some grace. It will require some forgiveness for yourself. You have to forgive yourself. You know, you want to be able to do things with an open heart and open space. And another big thing, it is going to require vulnerability. It is going to require vulnerability on a high level. So, one of the prerequisites to hope and getting up again and trying and believing and seeing the color and breathing and, just having that positivity is vulnerability. And vulnerability is vital because this is where you get to say your feelings out loud. And it is so important that you are utilizing your breath space for people who you trust and really have your best interests and who are going to listen to you without interruption and without judgment. I do not play when it comes to vulnerability. One of the worst things that can happen during a grieving process is, number one, you can't even talk sometimes. So when you finally have the courage to speak and you talk to somebody who is not a safe space, who is, huh, what, huh, or distracted all the time, that is the absolute worst feeling to me. It is the worst feeling because I remember for me, I was in spaces where I wasn't really talking like that. And there were some people that I can be very vulnerable with. It's like very attentive. They would answer the phone when they're available. Like, why can't people do that? That shit is just so weird to me. If you're not available, don't answer the damn phone. Seriously, it's so annoying. Anyways, so there are people who understood that. Then there's some people who want to do a thousand things at once. And it's like, I do not cooperate in that kind of environment. I already feel like there's clutter near me. I do not like that. Even when I'm on the phone with somebody, like especially with somebody being honest and vulnerable with me, you will never hear TV in the background if we're on the phone. You're not going to hear me scrolling. I could tell somebody scrolling on Instagram or, on the phone. I give you my undivided attention because if you are sharing something that personal to me, I don't want to be in a space where I don't hear you. And if I'm not available, I'm not going to answer the phone. So being vulnerable with somebody who is really going to be there to listen to you is part of the healing as well. Vulnerability is key. Unfortunately, what I've learned during grieving is that you cannot be vulnerable with everybody. You can't. It doesn't mean that people don't care about you or love you. It doesn't mean that. It's just that people have different attention spans. And I'm telling you, it is very frustrating to deal with that. So if I have to keep repeating myself over and over and over again, most likely the vulnerability card has been revoked. If I have to, if I have to, give disclaimers, the vulnerability card has been revoked. Access denied. You may apply next year, possibly. I don't know. But for now, it's like, no, I'm not doing that. So what can really keep someone broken is being around broken people all the time. You know what I mean? You need to share how you feel and eventually learn to get yourself in a space where you can talk and like take the tiniest of tiniest of tiniest of tiniest of tiniest steps. So vulnerability to me, guys, is major. It's a huge part of my healing because I was honest. Talking to the ladies of my grief group every week because the loss of my dad did not only affect me, it affected my entire family. He was a big figure, a patriarch, loved by so many people. And we were all grieving. All of us are going through it. And I just felt like, well, who can I really talk to? And this is where I found support in the grief group, and I found support in my grief counselor, and I found support in my therapist, because when you're grieving, you don't want to bother people and you don't want to keep saying the same thing over and over again because you're sad, and then you want to be isolated because you don't talk to people, but then when you do talk to people, you're not happy. It's a cycle. It's a cycle. But I will say I found that comfort in talking to my grief group because I felt like every emotion that I said that I had, they understood. And I was able to talk about my dad freely. And I love that because I wasn't able to do it at home, you know? And I want to be respectful of my family and make sure that they were comfortable. Like, and when I mean home, I mean like my family, right? I wasn't able to do it with my family because I wanted to be respectful with their healing and their process as well. But we all heal differently. And I wanted to talk about my dad. I was surprised, but I wanted to say more so like say how I felt about the whole thing and what I'm experiencing. My body's changing and the sadness and the grief attacks. And I needed an outlet because I felt crazy. I really felt like I was going insane. And it's like, oh my God, that happened to me too. Oh my God, that happened to me too. And it's like talking to the therapist also made things make sense because I'm like, is something clinically wrong with me? Like, what's going on? So being in a space to be vulnerable and talking to the right people truly made me feel better. And it reminded me of who I was. And I love that. I love that. I do love that because with grief, you forget who you are and your capabilities and all the things you have accomplished. At least I did, right? When I said you, I'm really talking about me. I did. And I needed to be around people to remind me, Erica, you did this. Erica, you did that. Don't forget about this. Erica, your podcast was great. I got so many during the time that I was away, I got so many people downloads of the podcast, people listening, and I was shocked every time because I'm like, I haven't been on this in 3 years. Who's listening to this? Like, but to hear people say, "Oh, I've listened to your podcast and it was great." I go to barbecues and I haven't seen people in a long time. Yo, I heard your podcast. It's amazing. And I'm like, what? Really? Really? So I needed to be around people to be reminded of who I was. I needed that. I needed that because I forgot. I did. I'm not going to lie to you. I forgot. I completely forgot. Because with grief, it just it puts you in this place of confusion. Like, I used to like this, but I don't like it anymore. Why? What is that called? Oh, is that depression? You know what I mean? Like, it's just it's just a lot of back and forth. So being around people and being vulnerable really helped. Grieving is healing, and healing this pain is a permanent band-aid. That's the best way I could put it because I'm seriously going to continue to heal daily. I have to fight for productivity. I have to check in with myself emotionally. I go through a lot of moments where I'm sad because of where I am in terms of being being in a place where I have to participate in my healing. I have to actually like do work. And the best way I could describe it is like getting ready for a game. Like, you have the uniform on, you know how to play the game. You've been sitting in the side for a bit, and now it's time to get out there and start playing. You know the rules, and now it's time to start playing. And it's scary, right? Because if you're trying to play a game for the first time, you're nervous. You're nervous on what's going to happen next and the reaction, and am I going to get hurt? And you don't know. Grieving and dating for me right now is interesting because I want to be vulnerable, and I'm nervous because vulnerability, you would think some people probably don't want to be vulnerable, but for me, I'm the opposite. I want to be vulnerable. I want to be able to explain to this person, my man, my husband, that to get to know me, you have to know my dad, right? I am a reflection of him. And I'm not going to share that sacred part of me with just everybody. You know what I mean? So even though I want to be vulnerable, I have to be mindful of really getting to know this person before I can actually be fully vulnerable. And it just changes things. It changes things for me. It changes how I view things and how I look at things, and just my feelings are just here and then there, and it's all normal. It's all normal, and I need constant reassurance from myself. And one of the things I have to do is to forgive myself for the time that I took. I know that sounds weird, right? But I was like really beating myself down, like, oh my God, you took all this time. Did you waste time? Da, da, da. And it's like, no, I did not. Everything happens in its divine timing. And I needed this time to be. Like, I needed this time to process. I needed this time to understand myself. I needed this time to understand myself. And healing, I'm sorry. Healing is something that is going to be forever embedded into my soul. I'm never going to stop. It's something that needs constant attention. And the best way I could describe it is like healing right now for me looks like constantly cleaning the band-aid, constantly cleaning the wound. You know what I mean? I have to clean the wound. I have to make sure it's okay. You know what I mean? But I can still move and I can still groove. Not even to rhyme. I can still move, I can still groove, I can still be here, but it's a permanent band-aid. It's a permanent, it's a permanent I'm sorry for my pauses, guys. I'm This is live. I'm really in my emotion. But it is permanent. And I'm at the place where I want to play the game. I want to play the game in terms of, if I don't participate in my healing, I'm never going to experience what life really is. I'm never going to experience what's really out there for me, because now I would be blocking it. It's a hard pill to swallow, what I just said. But I'm aware that I need to participate, because in order to know that broken crayons can still color, you still have to apply your fingers together to do the work and start utilizing that fingers to start coloring. How will you know if a broken crayon still color if you're not coloring? So I'm at the place in my life where it's time to color. There was a time where I felt like I was never going to experience joy. I felt low. I felt insecure. I felt lost. I felt confused. I felt broken beyond repair. I felt muted. I felt like I was silenced. I had a shockwave through my entire being, my entire life, my family's life, and I felt conflicted. Have you ever felt like that before, where you just feel low and you're trying to understand your emotions, but they're coming so fast and you're trying to catch it and dissect it, but you can't because another one comes in? Have you ever felt like you were stuck and you didn't see a way out? Have you ever felt like your situation was not going to change? Have you ever felt negative towards your life and just feeling hopeless, doubting everything? Because I know I have. And we have a tendency to let these things and these emotions dictate the joy that we have yet to discover. There's a wonderful life ahead, right? There's joy in every shape and form in our lives, but we have to seek it. We have to really work hard to see it. I find joy in having a very slow morning. And what that looks like for me is waking up. And the fact that I am waking up with the roof over my head is a blessing within itself, right? But waking up, brushing my teeth, flossing my teeth, doing my skincare routine, listening to some really great affirmational music. The STGG Refresh List is phenomenal for that. So, listening to a very great affirmational playlist, taking a wonderful shower, an intentional one, using a nice bar of soap that smells phenomenal, body wash, body scrub, like a really nice, long, and intentional shower, letting my body air dry, doing my skincare routine, applying my body butter, applying body oil, letting myself be slow, putting on my deodorant, spraying some perfume, sitting in my little corner in my chair, reading my devotionals, talking to God and asking Him to give me strength, asking Him to guide me for the day, asking for forgiveness when I'm not talking to Him, thanking Him for His protection. So really talking to God and just thanking Him for how much He loves me and how much He just always welcomes me. Anytime I go distant, He's just always ready for me. Doing that, getting dressed, and then getting a cup of coffee and sitting in nature and sipping slow is legit one of my favorite things to do. I feel renewed when I do that. It's the combination of renewal of the shower, of cleanliness, renewal of me reading my devotionals, and renewal of me being in nature. We have a tendency to eliminate joy when we have deep pain. But the beautiful thing about life is that it's a cycle. And when they say this too shall pass, I used to be so annoyed with that. Like, shut up, you know? But it's true. It's true. And we have to seek it. We have to work for it. You're not stuck. Life is not over. Love is coming. Healing is coming. Whatever you want is coming. I do believe that a positive mind and writing things down is vital. And that's what I plan on doing as well. I miss my dad. I miss him a lot. I think about him every day. I think about him every night. I think about him when I'm happy. I think about him when I'm sad. I think about him when I'm indifferent. But I also think about how happy he would be for myself and my family to move forward and take care of ourselves. I also know that he wouldn't be happy if we weren't taking care of ourselves. So sometimes I struggle with guilt when I'm not taking care of myself because I know he wouldn't like that. But I'm so grateful that God continues to give me another chance because he believes that there's still purpose for me on this earth. He still has work for me to do. And I have to forgive myself. And I'm at a place of my grief where I am forgiving myself because I'm going through a lot. And I acknowledge that. And it's not easy for me to do what I do, but I'm doing it. We are going to fall. We are going to go through things in life that really rocks our core. We are going to be still and we are going to be isolated sometimes. And that's okay. Being a crayon that still is broken, but that can still color, to me, again, it's just a beautiful line. And we can color what we want. We can do what we want. Every step that I took was a big step. And every step that you take is huge. It's way better than yesterday. And for me, it started with wash your face. If you don't do nothing today, even if you're in bed all day crying all day, wash your face. That's how I started. Then it was put deodorant on. Like it was literally like step by step by step by step by step for me. And that's what I needed to do. That's what I needed to do. I don't have all the answers. I do not. I'm still going through it. And as I've stated, I probably will have more episodes surrounding grief and the depth of grief and just the pain of it all and how to overcome it. Because what I don't want to do is shy away from the pain. I want it to be as authentic and vulnerable as I humanly possibly can because I don't want it to make it seem like, yeah, you're down, but you can get back up and be happy. It's like, let's talk about this pain though. And then let's talk about how we're going to get back up. You have amazing capability. You have every opportunity to try again. You have every opportunity to get in the ring again. You have every opportunity to start. And part of my forgiveness is like, Erica, you can still start. You can still get all the things you ever dreamed of. Don't let your current circumstance predict the joy that is coming to your life. Don't stop it from coming to you. This is what I have to say to myself almost all the time. Almost all the time. And there is maintenance when it comes to grieving. There's maintenance. I still go to my grief group every single week. I still go to therapy every single week. I still talk to my grief counselor. I still talk to my friends. I'm still vulnerable when I'm sad. I will tell them I am sad today. I thought about my dad. I miss my dad. I write in my journal. I give myself space. I give myself time to be alone. I also give myself time to push past it and be around people that I love. I go to the park. I create my slow mornings. I get my coffee. I do enjoy my body butters. So there is maintenance to this healing. It's not just, oh, yeah, I'm healing and I'm doing this to heal. No, 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 no. It's maintenance. Everything is maintenance, right? Healing is no different. What are you going to do to maintain this now? Now that we're trying to step out and be bold and just try again, what are you going to do to keep yourself at a place where you're emotionally safe to be active? And what I mean emotionally safe to be active, I mean to be around people, to like do the things that you enjoy and all of that. All the things that depression was hiding you from. What are you going to do to maintain that? Because one thing I will tell you is that depression is so easy to get reacquainted with. My friend asked me the other day, she said, "Do you feel like you've gotten over depression?" And I said to her, "I can be depressed in 5 minutes. I can be depressed in 1 minute. I can be crying every single day if I want to. So no, I'm sensitive. I'm aware of my emotions and I have to maintain it and I'm working towards it. I don't want to be in that space, but just to go to show you how easy it is to get back there, right? And I don't want to. So now I'm aware when I'm feeling in those like feeling that sad moment, I know that I need to do something to prevent me from getting too deep, right? Like I allow myself to be sad, I allow myself to cry, I allow myself to have my emotions, I allow myself to have my days, but I'm not going to take weeks or months. I can't do that. I can't afford it. Life is too short. Life is too fragile. I can't afford it anymore. I can't. So, oh, that was deep. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just talking because something told me to do this episode right now. Something told me to do this episode right now. So I'm saying that to say, in the midst of all the pain, there is a remedy. You have to do and be a part of that remedy. I can give you all the medication in the world, but you have to take it. You cannot heal what you don't reveal. Be honest with where you are and your thoughts. Seek help. Talk to your friends. Talk to your family. Get outside. Get dressed. How are you going to really get the right assistance if you don't tell the truth? A broken crayon still can color, but you got to know that you're broken first. You have to know that you're broken. You're not whole yet, right? We're trying to get there. So it's a process. It's going to be a process. But every step you take counts, my love. Every step you take counts. This recording this right now was very difficult for me because I am recording a series about grief and I'm still grieving. If that's not enough ammunition for you to start, for you to inspire you, that's my hope, you know? I'm still going through it. But like I said before, I am proud of you for being here and listening. And I want you to share the grief series with anybody who's going through grief. And like I said, grief is not just death is the final destination of it to me. Okay. But there's grief in many different ways. Relationship, friendships, your job, your pet, grieving your old self, making those changes, that's also a grieving process too. And then ultimately the death of a loved one, right? So if you know anybody who would benefit from this, please share. And if you find value in this episode, please tell me. I would love to know your thoughts. You can communicate with me on SaveTheGoodGirl.com and all social media platforms. I have a contact section that I worked really hard for. It's not cute. But you can contact me there and I would love to hear your thoughts about this. And just know that we got this. We're moving slowly. We're getting there. And there's still life and there's still hope and there is still joy. Wow, we have made it to the fourth episode of the Grief series, and I am so excited that we did this journey together. And I'm so proud of you. I am so proud of you. As I've stated, it was not easy. I was vulnerable. This topic is very heavy for me still. I'm still going through it, but I'm happy to share certain things that have helped me. And I truly, truly hope that it did resonate with you and certain things were like aha moments for you. And if they were, please let me know. I really want to know how you feel and what's going on and your experiences as well. I want to hear everything. And I thank you for being a part of this because this journey is a journey. It's not final. We're still going to be going through it, but joy is here. Joy is here. It's around us. We just have to take the time to really see it. Even if it's with a magnifying glass, we have to take the time to see it. And I wanted to leave you with this quote from Tunde. She is a Peloton instructor. And she said, "Grief is not about moving past the pain, but more so moving through every inch of the emotion. Every day is a different color. So I want to challenge you to color, even if it's gray, even if it's black, even if it's a navy blue. Eventually it'll get to yellow, it'll get to pink, it'll get to green. But I want to challenge you to color. We are the authors, we are the curators, we are the artists of our lives. And we're still here. And we need to give ourselves a fair shot, give ourselves a fair chance. I'm fighting to give myself a fair chance, and I know that you can do it too. So I challenge you to color. I challenge you to communicate with your family and your friends. I challenge you to be vulnerable. I challenge you to give yourself a second chance. I challenge you to honor your loved one and know that you coloring does not mean you're forgetting about them. It's just remembering you. I'll see you next week, guys, in the next episode. And I'm excited for our healing. I'm excited for our healing. So I challenge you to color and do it to the best of your ability. Everything that you do counts.